How you do? And welcome back to another episode of the Ginger Shed Man. In today's episode, we're going to attempt to fit this kitchen worktop. There will be another section here. We're going to attempt this bit first, and that involves jigging it and putting the cut in that will then accept this section. So hopefully, with the jig that I've got, my router and all accessories, I can pull it off. Well, let's give it a go. Right. Let's get it. Only thing with the shed is it's a bit of a tight squeeze when you've got something like this set up. But we adapt and overcome. There's this Okay, so right, this is the jig that I went for. It's a Trend KWJ 700/900, but this is the 700 version because the worktops are 600 or 610 or whatever it is. I think it's 600. In fact, I'm almost sure it's 600. Yeah, it's a 600 worktop, so I didn't need the bigger version. This is what we've got to go with. The jig come with obviously the jig and the pegs. The pegs correspond to the size of worktop that you're going to be cutting. So this is a 600, so we've got to watch out for all the 600 markers. In the instructions, it gives you which angle you want to be cutting. So this section, because it's up against the window, and then we've got the next section coming in here, so we want to just cut a normal 90 right angle, or a 90 right hand side, which is the first diagram, and it tells you again which way to have the jig, whether you need it flipped or the upside or the downside, where to put the pins. So ours is just going to be this one. So you can see that there's a key as well. The keys correspond here and tell you whether it needs a pin or a clamp, because you've got to clamp it to the worktop as well to be able to do it. So yeah, that's the jig. Pretty straightforward. And when I say straightforward, it sounds straightforward. Whether it's going to be straightforward, that's another thing. But we do have, well, one go at it. Well, I'm sure it'll be fine. The router that I have is the Trend. I think this is the E7. It's really the basic one. It's one that they market the lower end of the routers at. It's the T7, sorry, T7E. This is one that the market as the worktop version. Again, I've got a universal plate on the bottom and a 30mm guide attached already. Also got the worktop router bit in there, 1/4 inch, and basically the guide allows you to, as it says, move the router. What am I? Wi-Fi. Move the router within that guide. Then you're not going above it, below it, all that jazz. So in principle and in theory, it sounds like it's straightforward. Whether it turns out straightforward, that's completely different. But we can only give it a go. The worktop wasn't an expensive worktop, so if I have to buy another, I have to buy another. It's one of those, isn't it? The router is variable speed. You can put a a depth stop on it. You can increment it in little tiny bits. You can clamp it down to a certain level, certain measurement. So we want to cut into this, but we don't want to cut into it all the way on the first pass. I want to do a couple, 2, 3, maybe even 4 passes of it. Just then that eliminates any breakout of the laminate. Hopefully we should be okay. And then when we've cut the mitre into it, we can then cut the clamp sections in it as well. That entails flipping over the worktop, I think, to be able to do that. Then obviously you've got the underside of it. So yeah. Okay, let's give it a go then. I'll get the jig set up and we can take a look at it once I've set it up. Nice one. Okay, as you can see, we've got it clamped to the worktop now. Again, the clamping all corresponds to the diagram for the right hand. So this is the one that we want, which kind of gives you an idea on the jig as well. So this is our piece. And then the second piece we're going to be doing is this. So we've got all the pegs in. So we've got a peg here. We've got a peg here near this clamp. We have a peg here and a peg here, or pins as the trend referred to them as. We've got another clamp here. Again, know that to refer to the diagram. Clamp, clamp, and then the 1, 2, 3, 4 pegs, 4 pins that we've got here, 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 and here. So we've marked it at the 600. That's what we need to do to get that to stop. Then it doesn't shift over. Again, that stops the the jig from moving. This pin here stops the jig from shifting up, so that's nice and secure, and that stops it from moving up as well. So we're all nice and secure. The idea is that we then run the rotor in and through, a few passes at that, and hopefully that should give us what we need. Hopefully. If I just show you underneath, you can see the pins, little pegs that are stopping the workpiece from moving. Should have plenty enough clearance for the rotor bit to go through without catching anything of the worktop. So yeah, let's give it a go, see what we get. Okay, so PP on. Just double checking that the worktop is, don't know how much you can hear me, just checking the worktop is 600 and we've got it set up correctly. Which we appear to have. So PF is post-formed edge. Post-formed edge being the round over on this one, or square edge if you have a square edge. So we know we've got the jig set up correctly, and that we're not facing the cut edge. Again, tells you PF. Worktop is to be up, that symbol. Worktop face up. Trend jig face up. Peg, 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 clamp. Let's just go for it then. So we've got the guide in, and we're going to make our first cut. Don't know whether you can make out, but let's give us our first cut. Only a slight one, just so I can see what's going on. So we can adjust the depth, give it another pass. That peg is slightly, and then give me a better running for it. So I've got another one going in, another pass. Let's get some actual cutting going on. Tiny bit left. So what I've done is I've adjusted the length of the bit to just give me that extra few mil that I need to actually cut through. That's going to be spot on, so let's give it a whirl. Right. Well, we've got a nice cut. Hopefully, it's correct. And by God, is it dusty? It's extremely dusty, everybody. As you can see, we've got a nice cut, which hopefully will be perfect for us. Going closer, no chip out or anything on the top. Really impressed with that. Really impressed. Not a bad cut there as well. But there's a hell of a lot of dust. It's all over the place. I could have put the dust extraction on, but I didn't want to hinder my chances of getting it right by not being able to see. But as you can see, it is really dusty. But it's alright, we've got vac and everything for that. Perfect. Right, let's get tidied up and I shall get it inside and see what we look like. Right. Looks okay there. Well, just been into the kitchen, tried the worktop. Cut looks relatively good. So we'll crack on with the next step, which is cutting out the bolt recess areas, which are these three here. They will take these, so we can attach the other section of the worktop to this one, make it a nice tight fitting. I got the little zippy ones that you can do up with a impact or a drill, just to get that bit of extra tightness to it. I've set the jig up. What we've done with the jig is we've flipped it upside down, according to the instructions. So we've done all this section and now we're up to 2D. So it shows you the symbol, which is the V pointing down, which means that's the worktop upside down. So worktop face down. And we also flip the jig as well. Putting the pins where it tells you, so 2 here, 2 here. Tells you to put a clamp in the corner, which we've done, and a clamp in this corner, which we've done. And this is solid and going nowhere. In terms of the rotor depth, we flick through here, we get to the recommended correct bolt recess depths. If you've got a 40mm worktop, you want a 28mm cut. If you've got a 30mm worktop, which is what this one is, then we need a 20mm. Already set the rotor to 20mm on the stop here, so we can pull the rotor back up. And again, the guide, flip this round. Again, the guide runs into there, giving us our 20mm, sorry, on a 40mm, 30mm worktop. And then we just cut into the table and basically just follow it round, and it'll give us that nice clean cut as it shows again in the instructions. It's pretty straightforward if you can follow the instructions, which is always a bonus. Just shows you a little diagram just to basically move the rotor position out and around like so. Should give us a nice clean cut. We'll get the old PP stuff on. Must admit, it's pretty dusty though, but I'm not going to bother with the dust extraction because I've got enough to clear up anyway, so might as well not bother with it. You can get the dust mask on. It's got a nicely broke on me. Let's see if we can find another one. We're back, found another mask. This one's a lot more comfortable to be fair, but you can never find this one. Okay, just check the rotor, didn't have the right depth, so off we go again. Not too bad. Not too shabby. Nice depth on them. Correct one, I think. So they'll go. Fix nice and tight in there. Nice one. Happy with that? Happy with that. Right, next step is get the jig off, clean it up a bit and get it back inside, and then we can start working on the connecting bit. Or something I have to point out as well is that I put those pins in the wrong way. They're supposed to go from the top and I put them from the bottom, so when it's a lot easier to get them in. but you don't have as good snug fit as you should have. So remember to put the pins in the right way, which is you drop them through the top. Whichever way the jig is, you drop them through the top. Yep, doesn't look too bad. Yeah, so drop them through the top, then it's flush with the hole and not underneath like I was, and they were dropping out. Novice, rookie mistake. On to the next step, and that is cutting our second section of worktop that's going to match up to the one that we've just done the mitre cut on. Ta-da! Okay, so that's the second piece. Not fully into place yet, but got some chocks under here that's going to give me the ability to be able to scribe this one. Then we know where we are. All set it up, it all looks square. Still to cut it to length yet, but I'm using the Trend Worktop scribe pencil thingy. That should give us the perfect 8mm or whatever it is cut that's needed. You've got to try and get it square up to. Also conscious because the wall is not square at all in across here and really runs out up there, so I'm conscious that it's going to be square when we do this cut to match that up. I'm conscious that it's going to be square against that wall and not leave a massive gap, because we are having the upstand on here, but the upstand's like 11mm, so it gives us a little bit of leeway, but we'll try and get it as best as we can to what we need. So I've scribed that now. Next step is to get it cut out again with the jig, and hopefully everything's a-okay, because it's like, I'll show you. So we're not too bad across there. It runs out a little bit right up into that corner, but I think the upstand's going to cover. You'll see it's pretty tight, and then nice gap, I don't know if you can see, and then runs right to touching the wall again here. So we are out a little bit, but hopefully we'll get it sorted, and it should look half decent. On to the next step. Next step being the cut that's going to match up to the bit that we've already done earlier in the video. I'll set the jig up, so we're going to be cutting this way. I've got the scribe line here, matches up perfectly. Got our 2 pins on the jig, here and here, clamp here and here, again per Trend's diagrams and instructions. So we're going to cut, probably end up cutting into the timbers underneath, but we're going to cut about 2 or 3 again passes into there, and then hopefully that should give us the profile cut that we need. Thinking about it, yeah, I'm almost certain we're set up right. Whew. The old buttocks are squeaking there. Do that. Look. Cut the bolt holes in it first. Take it from there. Well, as you can see, we have a fitted worktop. Unfortunately, I forgot to press record when I fitted said worktop. So I was mic'd up, had the camera set up, but just simply forgot to press record. So, we've done the cutting of the worktop. We've done the little join cut with the jig. We fitted it. It's all nicely lined up and levelled up, plumbed up, whatever you want to call it, and screwed to the units. And it looks, actually, for a first go at everything, I don't think it looks too bad. Got a nice little join here. Probably could have done slightly better. The wall though is completely out of square. It's like, really bad. So that gave me a few issues. But other than that, I think we're looking quite good. I'll give you a close up of the join. You can make your own mind up. Bearing in mind, any comments, I shall just point out to you. Never ever once ever done anything to do with fitting a worktop. So just give me a bit of leeway if you want to have a go. But I'll welcome comments. But yeah, I'll give you a close up and see what you think. Excuse the shadow, but there's the join. God, the small rig setup for this form looks massive. Ignore the bit of paint that I chipped off, but don't think it looks too bad. Still need to do the ends. Need to finish those off. I've got some strip for that. We've also got an upstand that's got to go down that wall and across there. And we've still to, if you can see, finish that end of the worktop as well.